All right, everyone, welcome back to the Sooner Surge. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Hayes Fawcett's recent tweet, decommit season, and how that is going to affect Oklahoma or could affect Oklahoma. But before we go ahead and get into today's video, make sure you go ahead and click subscribe, turn on the notifications. We want your comments down in the comment section. We will reply to as many as we can down there. We appreciate each and every one of you watching this video. Let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to start with the most, in my opinion, the most likely flip for Oklahoma, and that is Reggie Powers out of Dayton, Ohio, the four-star safety who Oklahoma offered last week, yet he decommitted from Michigan State today. So Reggie Powers certainly is a name to really keep an eye on for Oklahoma in this class.
Yeah, I saw that today that he decommitted, and he had a bunch of offers, but OU was a very recent offer. Basically anybody. There's a lot of guys on Michigan State that either have committed or play for them now. And I'm not saying they're flipping. I'm just saying anytime that something like that happens, I mean, you saw it with Lincoln Riley, and that was a different situation because he left. But anytime there's a coaching change, I mean, let's just face facts. You're being recruited by coaches, right? And you have relationships, and when that goes awry or there's changes, obviously there's recruits that could change their mind. So,
yeah, he's one of them. I mean, at first when Oklahoma offered him, I kind of looked at him as a let's just go ahead and push Michael Boganowski along type of offer. But Reggie Powers is not that type of guy. This is a four-star safety, and if he wants to come to Oklahoma, you're not going to tell him no. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's one where they're trying to push Boganowski and make it faster. I don't think they're going to shy away from taking three safeties in the class. We saw him do it last year. So I think Reggie Powers, especially if he's able to get in for a visit, which would not surprise me one bit, is certainly going to be someone who Oklahoma has a very good chance at landing. And they've offered and been in contact with multiple different Michigan State commits. Justin Denson, who visited in June, has told me that he's still been in contact with Oklahoma. They also offered cornerback Cameron Campbell, who is a former Michigan State commit as well. So, I mean, they're not shying away from taking advantage of opportunities that have presented themselves.
Yeah, and that's just one school. I mean, do you think Hayes Fawcett, when he sent that out today, was it meaning anybody specifically, or is he just saying be on the lookout? I mean, what do you think from that tweet?
I don't think that tweet was about Reggie Powers.
No, I don't either. I'm just saying, do you think he's got somebody, a big star in mind, or is it just?
I do. I do, and I'm not sure who that is, but I do think there's someone big that sparks that tweet. I mean, and we'll get into some other guys here in this video, and I'm not saying it's going to be any of them, but I do think either there's a big guy or multiple big guys that Hayes Fawcett tweeted that about. But, I mean, let's just get into it. If you're active on Twitter, you've seen the name Bryant Wesco all over Twitter today. It's been everywhere. Bryant Wesco, as soon as Hayes Fawcett tweeted that, there was about 1,000 Oklahoma fans in those replies saying Bryant Wesco, question mark, Bryant Wesco, question mark. So do I think that Bryant Wesco is going to flip to Oklahoma? I think the odds are very much no. However, you can't, like, this is my personal opinion, you can't deny when Clemson's success, they've already lost 2 games. If they keep losing, that's got to make Bryant Wesco start thinking. I mean, you can't deny that. Their offense has looked bad. So maybe Wesco's rethinking his decisions. Again, don't have any sources to back this up, but I've just seen Clemson, they're 2-2 right now.
Yeah, and I think OU fans, if you just want to remember the last year when OU went 6-7, do you remember every time they lost having almost like not defend it, but you were like, oh man, I hope that doesn't affect recruiting, right? Because bad seasons and bad performances by certain sides of the ball, they do have an effect on players. You would hope relationships are stronger. And with Wesco, I'm sure he has a great relationship with Dabo and them. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think the chances of that are very slim. But you never know.
Yeah, especially if OU is trending up and Clemson is trending down and he's closer to Oklahoma, you would just have to think, if any, that would just spark a little bit of thought there. And maybe that's all Emmett Jones needs. Emmett Jones has been on a heater, so I don't know. I wouldn't fully rule it out, but I would say it's very much unlikely that Oklahoma would flip Bryant Wesco. As of right now, that's where I think it stands.
All right. Any other potential flips to keep an eye on?
Yeah, you got to mention Williams Nwaneri. That's always, until he signs with Missouri, that's going to be a name that we need to keep an eye on. That's going to be a name that everyone needs to keep an eye on. Everyone knows the story about Williams Nwaneri, and I think there will be a time in which this season that he is on Norman. He is on campus at Norman. He's got his friend Kamori Moore, who's committed to Oklahoma currently. He's told me he's going to try to get to Norman multiple more times throughout the season. So that's going to help for Oklahoma if, Williams Nwaneri can tag along with him, as well as potentially Isaiah Mozee. You never know what – I mean, again, this is another situation where if Missouri starts to lose and Oklahoma is trending up, you never know how that's going to work out. And with Nwaneri, I wouldn't put it – McGill Chavis, if there's anyone who could pull that off, it would be him. McGill Chavis he's been insane recruiting so far, him and Todd Bates. So I don't think you can rule it out at all. I think Williams Nwaneri flipping to Oklahoma is definitely still in the realm of possibilities. I wouldn't be shocked if it happened, but I think it's going to take time, and Oklahoma's just going to have to continue prying away at what Missouri has. And you're going to have to see Missouri struggle. I mean, if Missouri hasn't looked bad this year, if they continue to look like that, hey, maybe that'll help Williams Nwaneri.
Yeah, and the relationships are strong with him and OU, so that always bodes well. But that is going to be a thing where if he does flip to another school, whether it be OU or whatever, it's going to be burning the midnight oil on the last week to days. I believe is when that would happen. I don't think anything's changing in the near future.
Yeah, and I'm not saying either of these will happen.
I know.
If Williams Nwaneri were to decommit from Missouri, or Bryant Wesco was to decommit from Clemson, Oklahoma is the odds-on favorite. Go ahead and put all of it on it. That Oklahoma would land those two guys were they to decommit. I mean, Williams Nwaneri is a very interesting situation, and I know that he has relationships with many different people that are committed, many different people that play at OU, coaches, all that. So you never know. It's one of those situations where you don't know, but I think Nwaneri is one where that one you would see happen, much similar to a Peyton Bowen situation where he just doesn't sign with Missouri. He signs with Oklahoma. That's a weird one. That's one to keep an eye on. You got to mention Dominic McKinley, even though it's like a 1% chance or whatever. Another situation where if Texas A&M starts to struggle, you never know what could happen there. If he decides, I don't want to go play here, this program's on the downhill, or Jimbo is something happens with Jimbo. These are just the things you have to take into consideration on what could cause a potential flip. But I think everyone that Hayes Fawcett mentioned in the tweet, I don't think that was Dom McKinley. I don't think that was Williams Nwaneri. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out over these next couple of weeks with it being flip season now.
Well, and usually just if you go on past tweets or whatever from a guy like Hayes Fawcett, usually the tweet like that comes out and then something follows within 24 to 48 hours, usually, right? Because if it's something that's way down the road, that tweet really didn't mean anything, right? You're not going to put that tweet out unless you think something's getting ready to happen. In my opinion, that's just me thinking like you want to be putting this tweet out because something's getting ready to happen. So we'll see. We'll see kind of who it is, who maybe he's talking about. But hey, OU's top 8 recruiting class right now can only go up. It's not going down. That's the one thing is I don't think OU's going to be having anybody decommit that I know of. So feeling pretty comfortable there.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be one to watch. I mean, Terry Bussey in 2 days, that's obviously a name out there. Who knows what's going to happen there? We've seen Eddie Pierre-Louis pick up crystal balls. We're going to talk more about, both those things here on the Sooner Surge. So you're going to want to make sure you subscribe. We're going to have all types of content like this. And let us know, do you think it's possible to flip a Bryant Wesco? Do you think it's possible to flip a Williams Nwaneri? I think it's certainly, not even a flip of a coin. It's definitely a low chance to flip either of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And excited for a few days from now, Bussey, whether he chooses A&M or OU. I'm excited because OU's in the top 2, sounds like. So there's always that Christmas morning, you wake up and maybe you get a surprise. Maybe he's at OU. Maybe
surprise.
What's that?
That would be a surprise.
Yeah, you never know though. That you got to put yourself in those positions. That's the thing. You're in the position of top two. Sounds like so.
We'll see what can happen. Yeah. All right, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. Make sure you subscribe, drop your comments in the chat. Boomer.
Boomer.